I mean,
I think you
yeah,
guys have it harder than girls.
for sure.
in that department,
Hmm.
yeah, right.
And for men that are over 40 or in their later ages, if you want to, but if you want to make it seem like it's a little bigger, keep your belly fat down,
Yeah.
do lower abs, do your leg lifts.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Paradise Pump. And I am Mark, your host. And we have the usual suspects, and we got John here today.
What's going on,
John
guys?
comes in once in a while, got some good stuff to talk about. You know, John's always got some opinions. Wait, so what is this? Is it like censorship going on there?
Yeah, because we got too many sensitive snowflakes.
So people are
Definitely.
sensitive to these words now. They
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
want to hear it.
Yep.
So they're treating it like curse words, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe even worse
Wow.
because you can say
Even at
shit
the end of
and
the day,
bitch
we know
on
what they're
TV.
saying.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
but it's just so interesting. It's kind of like the mask thing. Then it goes back to wearing the mask. Like
Yeah.
you're making, like I don't know. I just it's kind of weird to.
Like even swearing too much or swearing too
Right.
soon
Well,
on
I get it.
in the podcast.
Yeah, you
It's
have to like wait. People, I'll watch some people's stuff, and like 10 minutes into it, they'll start swearing.
mhm.
And at the beginning, there's not much swearing. Like I've seen that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like so, there's a whole thing about this, right?
Yeah. It's
See, I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean,
Since
I
when
guess.
did everybody get so sensitive?
See, but what's interesting is like obviously you put it on these different, you put it on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, right? I mean, we don't own that. Obviously, somebody owns that.
yeah,
Those people are the ones that are making the rules, right?
for sure.
It's not the government. Is the government telling them to,
Yeah.
to do it, to
Yes and
censor
Yeah.
it?
no.
So you
Yes
think the
and no.
government's telling them, hey,
Yeah,
I mean,
start
absolutely.
censoring this?
Mark
That
Zuckerberg said he
that
was working with the FBI and like yeah, so he came out and said that basically during the pandemic they were making him censor certain
They're making
doctors
him do it.
like
hmm
Stanford doctors who
he
have
talked
like
about it on
young
Rogan. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So I mean he was
So basically, they're
yeah, they were
just
basically peer
so the
pressuring him
government's
and
running.
yeah, pressuring him into like censoring certain types of topics and things. So and he went
Interesting.
along with it because I mean it's the FBI and the
Well,
government, it's like he's
well,
not
yeah,
trying to get
you
in
don't want to
trouble
get in
with them.
trouble, right?
Yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, I think
Wow.
he kind of knew what he was doing, but kind of regretted it. I swear. He started training jujitsu and then he started like foil boarding and like his whole mentality switched. So he was getting involved with more like masculine things, I feel,
That's the
you know?
thing. I mean, when did we become so sensitive is when they started putting like shit in the water in the air. Go take your testosterone.
Let's
Yeah,
take this out.
seriously. Testosterone is not a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, well, there's another person, another guy that I on out. He's like, he's like 32, really young, right? One of my friends, she was like, "Oh yeah, he's active, all this stuff, but he just got his test results back." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what was it?" She's like, "Oh, he's at 141." And I was
Wow.
like, "What?" And he's like 32. And I said, "Well, has he been running gear and all that stuff and on and off?" And she goes, "No, no, he ran gear like 5, 6 years ago for a little while. He was running some gear, and whatever. And then he stopped. So it's been like a good solid 5, 6 years since he's touched anything."
Yeah.
And I was like, "And he's at 141." And she's like, "Yeah." And what's so weird, she's like, you wouldn't tell because he seems,
In shape
he's athletic, his sex drive is normal, like all this stuff.
yeah.
And I was like, dude, 141.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm just hearing more and more cases of guys, especially some men, with low testosterone under the age of 40.
It's like he's athletic, he looks the part,
Oh,
but it's
he's
like, but when his
he's
shoelaces come
yeah,
untied, he cries. It's like,
right, right. It's all there, and then
yeah,
it just falls apart. I know.
right.
It's so it's so interesting, and I also wonder like the whole sex drive thing, right? Like I've heard this before, like, oh, he wants to have sex every day. And
Yeah.
then his test levels are 150, and you're like,
You know what my theory on that is?
what is it? I want to hear it.
That those guys take Cialis or Viagra and don't tell their girlfriend.
That's a good theory.
For real. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because they're like, if your testosterone is super low,
Yeah.
your sex drive is down. And they probably know their sex drive is down and they're like, man, so they take this something, but they don't want to tell their girlfriend to make it seem like they can't get it up for her. So they're trying to like kind of mask it with this. And so they think everything's normal, but in reality, you get the blood work done and your test is low.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
It's
theory.
like a
Just a
pre-workout.
theory.
That actually makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because you're right. Because a guy, if he knows, he wants to perform, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to just be like, Oh no, I'm not. I'm not into it, babe.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to.
Yeah.
So pop the pill, make sure
Yeah.
every night he shows up, he's ready to
Exactly.
go.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it gives you, that's the thing about the Cialis or the Viagra, it gives you, like I said, it's like a pre-workout. It kind of
Yeah,
gives
it
you
gives you a
that
I
pump.
feeling of
know.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
kind of
I
want to
mean,
go.
people do
Yeah.
take
It increases blood
Cialis
flow.
and such for pre-workout.
Right.
I know of people who do
I've
that,
done it. Yeah.
and
It
it
works.
Well, I
works.
meant
Yeah, it
sexual
does.
pre-workout.
I mean,
Yeah.
even with that as well too, or
Yeah.
as far as guys having low testosterone, you can have a low testosterone, but like moderate to decent libido, because
Hmm.
maybe there is a surplus amount of estrogen that's making you feel some type of way.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
and
there it
then
is.
because you're half chubbed, you take the Cialis, you bang your girl, call it a day, and everybody wins.
Yep.
I
And you
see.
wouldn't know that you have
Yeah.
low
And there's all
testosterone.
these other things that come with low testosterone. I didn't realize because I had low testosterone, you know. I got blood work done and I was
What
at
was your
like,
number?
it was in the 100s.
Oh,
Yeah. That was after I came off like a heavy cycle after, what was it, the Stingray last year. Man, like I came off cold turkey everything for the first time in like years. Didn't
mm,
even TRT or do any type of bridging with a SARM or nothing. You know what I mean? And like I felt like crap. Yeah, for sure.
mm.
And it was like probably around 140. It was 180 maybe, something like
Okay.
that.
I mean, yeah, anything in the
Anything in the
hundreds.
hundreds is terrible. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, I felt a little more emotional. I felt like, and I started reading up on it. It can cause like all these like heart problems, all these other random things. You know what I mean? Like yeah, that you wouldn't
Mhm.
even think of low testosterone could cause. So yeah, low T is not a good thing for men. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, you made a good point though, Mel. Like, it's deceiving, right, with the sex drive, right? Because, like you said, the estrogen could be up, and that could be making you feel
A little
like
mushy
emotional,
gushy and want to be like,
connected, like oh, I'm
Yeah.
connected,
Let's
yeah.
let's spoon.
and then you throw in a couple Cialis that gets that blood flow down there, and you're like, hey, I kind of feel good, like let's
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
But you're right. That's definitely a good point
Yeah.
with a
And
hundred
you know, I think
40.
like ironically, those pills are so easy to come by nowadays. You just gotta like log onto a website and you get them sent to you in the mail.
Hmm.
Like 10 years ago, if you wanted Viagra, like good luck trying to
You
find
can go
it, you
to the
know?
local gas station and get boner
Yeah, right.
pills.
So it's like, yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like they're so accessible now that
boner
it's almost like
pills.
it's almost like
You
somebody
might get censored
knows
for that.
that there's low testosterone, you know what I mean? Like going around and they're like, here, we need all these things because, you know, people are having a hard time getting it up. But we don't want to think that it's something in the food or the medication they're taking, you know? So let's give them all these pills to just kind of like counteract those effects, you know? That's what I
Hmm.
feel like. It's just a theory, you know what I mean? But like there's a lot of stuff, yeah, going on with like Mel said, like with the food and all that kind of stuff. And ironically, there's all these pills coming out and all these things, you know what I mean? So it's like,
There's so many different brands that are like
yeah,
combinations of
yeah, it's like four
uh
different things.
Viagra and Cialis. I'm
There's a
laughing
lot.
because we
Yeah.
used to a few years ago there used to be some underground ones going around.
Get
We call them
bombs.
cock bombs, yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Cock
it
bombs.
was Cialis and Viagra blended together.
Man, that
That was
sounds
a good
intense.
night.
Yeah.
How long
It
did it
was
last? I mean,
just a while,
so
like to
you
where she was getting very annoyed.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about Cialis compared to Viagra is I feel like Cialis, for me anyway, but if you're not, if I'm not like fully turned on,
Yeah.
it doesn't really seem to work. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. It's like, but I'm not really, it's not like
Yeah.
doing a whole lot.
It's not going to just make it go
No,
up.
it's
It
not
needs to
gonna
be
go
a
like, oh,
little,
you're hard.
yeah.
But then Viagra is a little different. I feel like
Yeah.
Viagra just kind of like whether you are or not,
Yeah.
when you take a right dose, it just works,
Yeah, for
and it
sure.
just
Yeah, but it
does that.
sucks though.
Yeah.
Well, it
Somebody,
sucks. But you know what's pretty sad is, is if you're with somebody, whatever, and you take it and you still can't really
yeah.
get it right,
Yeah.
and
That would
they
be
know
terrible.
and you know you're on it. Oh, that's pretty bad.
That's bad.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this might be the last time.
Or even
Like,
if any girl out there has sex with their boyfriend and his doesn't get soft after you have sex,
yeah,
he's probably taking Viagra
Or Caber.
or something. Yeah, something's going on.
okay, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, or
I think
unless
most
he just
girls
has like,
can tell.
yeah, you know. So I feel like there's a lot of enhanced bedroom stuff going on that, like, you know, girls aren't really aware is going on because maybe the guys, yeah, don't want to make them feel like, oh, she doesn't do it for me, and but like, you know, I don't know.
But it's not even about that sometimes. It's not even about shouldn't do it for you. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe I wonder if some people think that though, if they
Yeah.
think, oh, he's taking it and because I don't turn him
I
on.
think that's like how a girl would might look at something like that. I know some girls on those commercials are like, "Oh my god, it was the best night I ever had. You got to get your
Right.
boyfriend this pill." But like
Because it's like extra.
some girls, like, you know, will get mad at their boyfriend for watching
Yeah,
or a
yeah, yeah.
C corn video, you know?
I can't believe
So
we're
it's
doing
like,
that's stupid.
it's the same thing with that. It's the same
Well,
kind
I
of
think
like,
because it's a little bit different, your mind and imagination goes somewhere. Sex, love making, whatever you want to call it, fornication is very different from. So, like,
We're weak.
like as
We
far as
suck.
like doing it, it's not quite
the same.
like
There's, like you hear people about being addicted to it. They're
Yeah.
addicted to the videos. They're addicted to
Oh
watching
yeah.
it, and then they have no desire to have sex. Can I say sex? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I
So
They
think
have no
that's
desire.
okay.
Jesus Christ.
coitus.
Can I say Jesus Christ? They have no
that
desire.
maybe
I
no,
know, maybe not. Maybe we'll get
Yeah.
censored.
Yeah, right.
The Lord, please save me. Um, maybe like I think that's so bad, and I know it happens, but they get addicted to it. They watch the videos, and then they don't really want to have sex with their girlfriend,
Yeah.
right? They
Because their
still
their expectations have went up.
well, and it's
Yeah,
weird because they still have a desire to be with their girlfriend. Like they
Yeah.
still love their girlfriend, they still enjoy their girlfriend.
Yeah.
But then it's almost like they detach the sexual part of it now.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I got this.
yeah, exactly what I was saying.
Right.
Like what you see in those videos is far different from what your human interaction is. Like, we
Desensitizes you.
oftentimes, your girl ever tell you like fucking spit in my mouth, and you do like the hawk to in her mouth, like how they do in those
Yeah.
movies, and
Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
or even like
Yeah.
just
The regular
some
average
of the
girl
moves that they do and
is not
stuff.
going to be
Like,
into that.
but
dude,
here's
they're
the
not
thing
into that
too.
stuff.
There's a lot of guys, honestly, who don't want their girl to be like that. They
Yep.
want to do that shit, but not necessarily to
Oh,
their
hire
girl.
somebody, a
Right.
lady
They
of the
don't want to
night.
because that's their girl. They're around. They're having to see them. They're with them, and they're like, I do some weird shit with her. Like
Yeah.
I don't want her to know all the weird shit that I'm into, so I do it with somebody else.
For sure.
But then my girl, we do this stuff.
Like feet fetish.
Whatever. Because then it's kind of like if you and your girlfriend break up, she's gonna be like, that guy, he did some weird stuff. He's into some
Like
weird shit.
A
And you're
to
like,
M.
oh
Yeah.
man,
Stop it
like
now.
Right.
ATM. I
Never
know
go A to M.
ATM, and then make out after, right?
It's like, I don't know.
We're-
He always wanted to pee on me. Like, I don't know. It's so
This is
weird.
golden shower.
Right,
What?
right. I know this podcast is a little different, but
Yeah.
this is I mean, but that's what it is, right? Because
Yeah.
then now they have all your secrets, right?
Yep,
So
for sure.
speaking of as well, testosterone and fornicating and all of that other stuff, is
Yeah.
it true that your man thing, your junk shrinks when you do steroids?
Oh God,
Is that true?
no,
No.
no, it doesn't
I
shrink.
feel like it's not true. But if you don't play your cards right with managing, like, I don't even know because I'm not a scientist. Mel would know more about this. But like your testicles can
Absolutely.
atrophy and
Yes.
shrink. It's not going to
Yes.
shrink your penis, but it will definitely shrink your balls if you
Correct.
don't play your cards right. And that's definitely a fact. Yeah.
It shrinks your scrotums, yes, but as far as whatever you have as your shaft and all of that, no.
They'll drop back when you're
Yeah,
done.
Yeah,
though.
for sure.
If
Have
Yeah.
you heard of
HCG, man. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
this? And I mean, some people say it's true. They've had results like that growth hormone over long extended periods of time sometimes can make it a little bigger. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I heard of that,
I
but
mean, it
you
makes
need to
everything
take
grow, right?
you
So,
need to
Right.
take a copious amounts of it as well
Right.
too. We're talking. I'm not giving even doses, but a
Right.
copious amounts. Just say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, we're not talking about growing an inch, guys. I mean, make it like
But
that.
there's other things that you have to do with it. There is a podcaster that talked about it back in his early days about like taking your GH with it, having your pump, and then stretching as well too, which helped increase the girth and the length of it. And if you guys know who I'm talking about, then you guys know.
Use the pump. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a
but
friend
it
that
was
did
a
that.
copious amounts of GH with the pump, with the
Mm.
everything on top of it all to grow just
Yeah.
man,
You might get maybe quarter inch. I don't know. Or
sounds
maybe
like
a little more girthy.
sounds
yeah,
like a lot of work.
Hey, man. But
might be fun for your partner.
quarter inch could be a lot. You never know.
Yeah.
A
See,
quarter inch of girth could be
Yeah, I
a
mean, a
lot.
quarter inch
if
on
you
your
had a
biceps. I mean, hey,
right,
man, that's
Right.
growth.
right. So if you
That's
had
right.
if you had a cool girlfriend that would help you out with the pump and all that, right, wouldn't it be like that would be more fun
It'd be
rather than
fun.
just like doing it yourself and be like, oh damn, am I proud of myself for doing this?
Or your girlfriend walks in on
Interesting.
you doing it. She's like, "What are you doing?" Oh my god.
You're like, babe, don't worry, babe.
Yeah.
Thinking of you. Thinking
Yeah.
of you.
Right.
You're on my mind.
Yeah. That'd be a
Uh,
weird one for her to tell all her friends.
I
For
know,
sure.
for
But there
sure.
was a bodybuilder guru dude who had a protocol for it
Mm,
for that growth.
For
yeah.
GH wiener growth.
GH wiener
GH
growth.
wiener
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah. Oh, that's
That's a program, man.
right.
That's a program.
Do you guys
That
feel
back when you could
let's
put something in a forum and then it would just spread
Oh,
like
oh
wildfire.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you remember what was it, the GH15 protocol or something
Oh yes,
with the
I know that
tren and
one.
the high dose
I know
GH
that
and
one.
yeah,
And
sorry, I
a
didn't mean to
high
interrupt
dose
no,
that.
no.
insulin.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it'd be like that.
Are you guys really insecure about your dick size?
Nope.
I'm not.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
you guys are well endowed. But
Yeah.
I wonder how guys feel about that. You know, like in how there's women who are insecure about their body types,
Yeah.
how they do a lot of surgeries to just
Mm,
feel enhanced in that
Oh
regard to
God.
feel attractive, you know?
mm.
I mean, you guys don't have a choice. You're kind of stuck with what you got, right?
Right.
For sure.
That's. I mean,
You
right. You're
guys can't do
born, and
plastic
that's
surgery,
what it is.
right?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I think you
yeah.
guys have it harder than girls.
for sure.
In that department,
Hmm.
yeah. Right.
And for men that are over 40 or in their later ages, if you want to, make it seem, you can't, like Mel said, you got to do this whole protocol if you want to change the size. But if you want to make it seem like it's a little bigger, keep your belly fat down,
Yeah.
do lower abs, do your leg lifts, work your leg lifts. You know what I mean? Like people don't realize, but when you're flexing your butthole, that's your lower abdomen engaging for real. You know what I mean? So you really
Wow.
have to engage
This
those
is a good
core
one.
muscles.
The
You know what I
fuck did
mean?
that come
And like
from?
you need to leg lift, keep the belly fat down because it's just going to grow up around the shaft of your penis and then it's just going to make it look smaller. You got to keep it thin.
I had no
So,
idea John was an expert at this.
yeah.
Do
I'm just,
your
I'm just
man
saying,
giggles.
Well, I had no
Yeah.
idea. This guy's a
Yeah.
pro.
No, it's just,
Yeah.
like what I've noticed for myself when I like get fat, after a show. And then like when I'm really lean, when I'm really lean, like dieting into a show, I'm 3 weeks out. I'm like, whoa,
I got more dick.
I think, yeah,
You know?
hey, I think it's a little bigger
I
now,
gained half an inch on
And
this
then
boy.
like 4 months after the show, you're kind of fluffy and you're like, looks a little different. Like, but you're just not as lean down there. And there's like maybe like this much fat like
Makes
sticking off of your
sense.
stomach. You know what I
It
mean?
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, women too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it can
for
go
sure.
for women, right?
Yeah.
Because when they gain
Fupa.
fat and they get the little fupa, and then
Yeah.
their cooch kind of
Yeah.
pops out more than
Yeah.
in. Like, yeah, there's
Yeah. It's a little fluffier. Like, yeah.
yeah, it's a different look. I mean, it probably feels the same, maybe. I
I
don't know.
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is an interesting topic.
I know it's just a topic, but yeah, no,
So
Yeah, but do you think
yeah.
some bodybuilders though, going back to the like atrophy of the testicles,
Hmm.
do you think some bodybuilders like shit? I don't even need my testicles. Do you think?
I
Do you
think
think
some
anything?
bodybuilders
Yeah,
don't give a shit.
they're like,
Sure.
man, I
Yeah.
can I can just take some dick pills and
Yeah.
get a boner.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I think
I
some
don't care about
bodybuilders
my
don't care.
testicles being small. I don't need that. I'm sure
Mhm.
there's bodybuilders out there that are so into bodybuilding that they could care less if their balls just
Guaranteed.
completely went away 100%.
Guaranteed.
you know what's so funny now in the evolution of the sport? Now in the men's posing trunks, they have like that little like the
I saw it.
to make it look like you got a little package there instead of it just being all flaccid inside a
Yes.
banana
Right.
hammock.
Because
Right.
before it would be like it would squish. Now
Flaccid
they
in
have
your
like what they like a pooch.
yeah.
It kind of lets you sit it in there
It's a
now.
little
Yeah.
deceiving,
Yeah,
but
It
it's
is.
a better look.
for sure.
It's more you know it's a
Did you
better look
see
instead
that
of a
one?
flaccid
God,
thing.
Right?
Jed
Or it's
Jed
all like
knows.
baggy in the
What?
front and there's nothing in there.
Jed knows
You
this
just see the
body.
rim right
What's
there.
that bodybuilder dude? I think
Rim
he was
and
in
head.
the.
Mel speaks
He's
from
pro.
experience. She's been behind the desk.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
no.
go ahead.
No,
No,
no.
there was a pro bodybuilder. I don't know if he competes lately. I mean, a few years back, dude, black guy, of course, but huge, bro, like abnormally huge, like, and he was on stage posing. I think he did the Olympia. I think he did the 212s in the Olympia a few years back, like maybe 4 years back. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you're like, whoa, something's
It
not.
kind of takes away from his physique.
There
Oh
was
my!
a
And he wore
guy
like a
that
fluorescent green bottom too, which
he
is
knew
even worse.
he knew what he was doing.
I don't know, and if I did know, I
You
wouldn't
know,
want to let people know that I
should
knew.
look. I should really look to see because I mean this is like the craziest you've ever seen.
no,
We're all like,
there's
Mark,
a
you've never seen this
Yeah.
guy.
one older guy. He had like beard and like piercings and stuff like that, but he had like elephantitis, or I don't even know what that is, but he was like
I know who you're talking about. He went viral online.
he went
Oh,
viral
something.
online, and
He
it
had
was so
something
distracting.
wrong.
Everybody was like, "Bro, is that even
But
healthy?
I
Is
you
that
know what I
even
heard?
safe?"
Because I was reading through the
Yeah.
comments. I was like, wow, what are people saying about this post? I was like, this is kind of weird, Because he was posing like he
In
was,
his red trunks.
yeah, he wasn't trying to show off his stuff. You know what I mean?
No,
He
I
was really
remember
trying to
that.
pose.
I remember that.
But somebody
one.
told me that was what is it called? A hernia.
Yeah, he had a hernia.
He
I
had a
remember
hernia
that.
that
I saw
descended into
that.
his testicles,
This
and he
was
hasn't
different.
gotten it fixed yet. That's what
Mm-hmm.
somebody told me, but maybe it's not, and I have no clue. But that's what I was reading in the comments. There's all these comments like, "It's a
That's
hernia."
ballsy, man.
Really
Yeah.
ballsy.
You
That's
gotta give
really
him that.
Yeah, for
But
real.
yeah,
Very ballsy.
yeah. But he went viral. But then he kind of got away. A lot of his personal IG posts were kind of surrounded about him using trunks and just like posing his sexy body in his big ass
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
thing package.
Maybe he was
And
doing the gay for pay.
It just
maybe
looks
Yeah.
odd
it did.
Right?
It looked
because
odd.
it was like,
It looked painful.
dude, like what? Yeah.
Yeah. For
There's a
sure.
difference of like, oh man,
Damn.
that guy's got some goods, and
He's
there's like,
hung.
what the hell's
Like
wrong?
once it starts like obstructing your walking or something, you know what I mean? That's like way too big.
Something
already.
like there's some
Like,
medical
yeah.
condition.
Yeah,
you
right. No,
know?
that's definitely it would be irritating playing sports or anything, man. Like
Oh,
you know
could
what
you
I mean?
imagine?
Yeah. Like,
Jiu-jitsu?
oh.
Trying to do
Triangle
cardio.
choke.
I'd be like, bro, tap, tap. What the hell was
Yeah,
that?
right. Oh my
What was
God.
that, bro?
Yeah, it's like you're getting choked like by your arm,
Yeah.
and then his leg, and then his junk's like in your neck, and you're
Tapping
like,
you. like, no, I'm good, dude. I'm
yeah,
good.
right.
I can't
He
anymore.
didn't even
right?
squeeze, and
I
you're
know.
like, no, we're done.
No, we're done. We're done.
Yeah,
You
he just
go,
like
go with those
he,
guys.
he lays on his back. He's like, "Come into my guard."
I'm like, nah,
No,
cool.
I'm
I'm
good.
cool. I'm good. You got it, bro.
It's funny.
Jeez, interesting. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there is a few. I know that there's that guy, and then the one you were talking about, Olympia. Was
You
was
saw
it
it?
an open?
He did the Olympia. Yeah. Oh, I think it was 212.
212.
But yeah, it
So he was
was
probably kind of short too, then, right?
yeah, he was a little, probably like 5'7" or something.
Yeah.
But he was. I mean, the crazy thing is he looked good. Like he looked really good.
Yeah.
He was jacked, like great physique, but too bad. I mean, sometimes it
Yeah, I
took
feel
away
like
it took away from his
yeah,
physique. Like
for sure.
I was like,
It's like, what if somebody had like a fucking purple afro? You know what I mean?
Right.
You'd be like looking at the afro and like not
The
really
whole
the
time.
physique, you know?
Exactly that as well too. And we say all the time, as far as sitting from the judges panels, you don't want to take anything away from your physique. So
Yeah.
you don't want like crazy hair. You don't want crazy makeup. You
Mm.
don't want like don't do anything to
You
take away
don't-
from your
you
physique.
don't want massive.
You
Could
don't
you
want-
imagine?
Yeah.
Well, bro, I had you at second place. Why? Well, you're a little too big. Sorry. I don't know.
What do you guys think? Like, kind of like off the topic of this, but kind of on the topic. But what do you guys feel like about those guys like that do classic and they all try to look like Chris Bumstead with his mustache and his
Oh.
Or
haircut?
just classic guys,
Yeah,
like
just
everybody in
classic.
the gym tries to look like Chris
Yeah, like,
Bumstead.
I'm
I mean,
like-
how many dude mullets and mustaches did we
Yes.
see in tube socks with
Like,
shorts did
dude,
we see
like,
coming in here?
Half of those dudes would have no
Shit.
mustache if Chris Bumstead didn't have a mustache, and then that little like kind of like fake mohawk kind of thing that he does
Yeah.
with the like shaved
Yeah.
sides.
Mullet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, like, do you not realize like you're stealing somebody's identity? Like, like be yourself on stage. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to look just because he's Mr. Olympia doesn't mean you have to physically like your face and your facial hair needs to look like him. You know what I mean? It's because of his physique. his
Yeah.
hair. Nobody cares about his mustache and his hair.
Well,
but that's
It could just
judging
be
him.
because
Yeah.
they admire the guy,
Or
right?
they're
They're like,
channeling
sure.
their
they're
inner
like, I
Bumstead
admire him. I want to be
Yeah.
like him, and I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah, but to me, it's like
It's
if you really want to
trends.
take yourself seriously, you don't want to ever be a second-rate version of somebody else. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
that's a good line.
You want to be a first-rate version and the best version of yourself, not a second-rate version of Chris Bumstead. And you're not even a second-rate version. You're like 150th
Yeah.
rate version. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like to me, just like be yourself. I mean, if that's how you were rocking it before Chris Bumstead did, then rock it. You know
If
what
he
I mean?
stole your style,
Yeah, if he stole your shit, then I'm sorry, but stuff. You know what I mean? But it's like like I feel like you could. I'm so tired of seeing people try to do that, and I don't even think Chris Bumstead looks like that anymore. He has like a fade with like his hair is kind of curly, and he has like no facial hair right now.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine the Ronnie Coleman videos being on Instagram these days?
Wow.
Like how many kids would be trying to eat like 6 slices of like the plastic wrap Kraft cheese and grits in the morning and would
Barbecue
be
sauce all over
taking
everything.
like 10 scoops of pre-workout and half a bottle of nitrix. Because remember, he used to take ridiculous amounts of shit, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
It would be like the nitrix from BSN would be like 3 tabs. He'd be like, well, I'm taking 8.
Yeah,
And then he would take extra pre-workout on top of this. One of this guy didn't pass out from low blood pressure from all the pre-workout he was
Yeah.
on, right?
for sure.
Imagine these kids were looking at him and putting half a bottle of KC Masterpiece on everything and just getting fat,
I know.
you know?
I always thought that was funny.
And it's like when he was eating too, you could literally hear him breathing heavy.
He'd be in a
You know?
cop car with like
Yeah.
12 ounces of chicken, just eating
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you can never catch anybody.
But do
Like
you
you
ever
could
see
never sprint and catch somebody.
you ever see like
No.
the breakfast he would make with the grits and egg whites, and he would
Yes.
take that crap
And
like
like
chemical
in the
cheese
like
and
plastic
just toss
container.
like 3 slices on there, and then mix
Yeah.
all that shit up, and then put the cheese powder on it, and eat that every morning. And the bowl
Terrible.
was like.
Was there egg
It's
whites in
like
there
something
too?
you give your whole family fucking popcorn out of. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like a little
Yeah,
cereal
no, it was
bowl.
huge for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
It was a
ridiculous.
serving bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the most interesting, boring bodybuilding videos to watch for Ronnie Coleman's
Right?
DVDs.
I mean, I
Oh
feel like
man.
he's a good example though of like if you don't take care of your body and work on your mobility and stretch, like because look at Dorian Yates right now, riding bikes through the mountains of
Yeah.
Spain, doing yoga and taking
Yoga,
ayahuasca,
Pilates, taking
you know.
ayahuasca.
And like, and you look at Ronnie Coleman, like, yeah, man, I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, buddy. And you're like, dude, like, just give it up. You
I
see
know.
him lifting still and like pulling and yanking
Yeah,
weights, and you're like, dude,
can
just
barely
stop,
walk.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he squatted 800 solid ass
He
pounds.
did. That's
Yeah.
I give him that. You know what I mean? But like, if he was just really into it, man, he was willing to
That's it.
sacrifice his health
That's it. He
for.
was.
He
And
was
he's
willing to.
still
Yeah, he was willing to do
he's
it.
still into it.
Yeah.
You know,
But some
he's still
people don't
mentally into
realize.
it.
Like I heard this Shaolin monk say this. He's like, when you're healthy, you have all these problems. When you get sick, you literally just have one
Have
problem.
one.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? And that was
Oh
such a
shit.
yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, that's so crazy
And
because
you're
that's
full
so
of the
true.
one-liners today, man.
But that's the
Yeah.
most. That's
Fuck.
true.
Yeah.
Like when you're healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's all good. Blast away. Yeah,
Sounds
let's
book
take
of
all this
quotes.
stuff.
Yeah.
800 pounds front squat. Yeah, yeah, buddy. And then like you get sick and you're like, fuck,
All
24
you
back
want is that one
surgeries.
thing
I
is
just
to
wish
be
I,
healthy
yeah, I
again.
just wish I
Yep.
could just be healthy and be normal. I've been there.
Normal.
Like I said, when I had bad blood work, I kind of tripped out. And the first person I texted was Mel, and I was like, man, I just wish I could just be healthy. Oh my god, if I could go back and not take that whole cycle, I wouldn't. Fuck, like what did I do? You know? Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I feel like health in bodybuilding gets pushed to the side a lot, and it should definitely be a priority. Like I have friends, they train with that coach Cuts. And the good thing about that guy is, dude, he makes them get their blood work. He's always checking it. Like every show after they get blood work
He
done, you know what I mean? They're like on these like vitamin regimens of doing taking all these herbs and all these vitamins and like he really cares about their health. And I feel like if there were more coaches out there like that, people would be healthier. So,
Mm.
absolutely. And as far as the people that I help, I have them on a lot of supplementation, whether it be vitamins and so on and so forth,
Cialis.
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if they
And then
need
Mm-hmm.
that,
to.
yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah. But then I do have them do, I do recommend that they do blood tests and all of that good
Yeah,
stuff.
for
And
sure.
many of them go, they think it's a little bit too much. It's so excessive, Mel. It's just a bodybuilding show. It's not
Yeah.
that bad. I'm healthy. I'm eating right. I'm doing all of these things. But when they get their blood work back and it's just like, oh shit, like yeah, okay, there is a reason why I'm feeling some
Yeah.
type of way or not functioning like on, all 12 cylinders or what have you. So I know a lot of people think, oh, because you're bodybuilding, you're eating healthy. It's really not. Bodybuilding is
Yeah. You're
not
lacking
really healthy.
nutrients, man.
You're lacking a lot of micronutrients if you're not supplementing as well too. So
For sure.
you know,
And even if people aren't taking gear and they're natural, like a lot of girls, bikini girls especially, their diets are so crazy. Like you don't realize how much you're kind of like, taxing your system, by doing this diet for 4 months. And some girls don't even have their periods, you know what I mean, when they're on prep. So
When
it's
they get
like,
their body fat certain level, yeah, it'll
yeah. And then
stop.
it's like, you can't have no baby like that. You can't, if you're, you know what I mean? So it's like, even just the diet alone and like really getting lean and really fucking dialing it in can like really mess it up without even steroids. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm.
like blood work is very important,
but
which
a
is,
lot of them, you see it now, the instant gratification. They think about the now. They'll deal with it when they cross that bridge
yeah,
years down the road. Like when I was in my peak, um, I never thought I'd. Well, I was doing things in a little bit more conservative way, so I already knew these are my non-negotiables. I'm not gonna go past this line, so that was set in stone. But I know as far as what we talk about bikini girls, and it's posted for people to see. Some of the stacks, some of the bikini girls are taking. It's like holy shit, they're taking tren
wow,
That's
bikini
crazy.
What?
girls. Yes,
that's
I'll send
ridiculous.
you the videos. Like there's people who women
I wonder what the dose is. Probably so tiny. You could just like
bikini
crack
girls
the
taking
bottle
tren.
open and
No,
sniff it.
not even, dude. It's
Like
like
25 a week or
it's
something.
like pretty decent beginner dosing.
Damn.
That's ridiculous.
That is
That
Yeah,
is,
outrageous.
for
yeah,
bikini girls to be
yeah.
taking that kind of
If you got to
shit.
take that to like dial it in for bikini, like you don't
Right?
belong in bikini. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. Like if you gotta, because bikini, I mean, yeah, you have to look like muscular in certain areas. Your shoulder caps have to be capped off, right? I mean, Mel would know better than me, but I feel like that look doesn't need a lot of steroids. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a more emaciated look than it is a healthy look. You know, when you
Hmm.
see some of those girls, you're like, oh my god, I see rib cage, and I don't think they even do they like you to have a six pack? No, right?
Not really.
It's
If
that
just
like
a
kind of flat
fine outline,
outline of the
yeah.
obliques and
Yeah.
stuff, kind of, yeah.
And
But
I'm going to say this again, even for the bikini division, it is not a weight loss contest. It is still a bodybuilding competition.
for sure.
So, there are criterias that you need to fulfill even in bikini. So just because you came in bikini a little bit fuller, if you don't have the muscle to contend in figure, just stay in bikini for a little bit more and grow into the division.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Mhm.
try to get, especially girls, try to get down your body fat in the single digits. I'm not saying unsafely because there are safer ways to do it. If you had a good coach, you'd know. But you could get lean as a bikini girl, real lean, still have your period, and
Yeah.
still be functioning like very, very well and cognizant, eating a good diet. You don't need to kill yourself doing it. And,
You don't need trend.
you don't need trend, especially bikini girls.
Who
Right.
says?
Who said?
Who says?
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
Well,
Trend for everything.
I know. Trend is the ultimate
trend is your friend.
trend.
Trend is your friend. Yeah.
I can honestly say that was like my favorite steroid to take was Tren because I felt so amazing in the gym, you know? And like when I was flexing and posing, but like it's the in the middle of the night you wake up and your whole bed is wet and you're sweaty. It's the like kind of like your girlfriend might say something that might normally not make you as mad, but you flip
Oh
out,
yeah.
or like you're in traffic and you don't ever have road rage, but you're following somebody home. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, like
What
that's
damn.
yeah, I know,
Damn,
right? Oh my
John.
God.
You're like
I know.
you're like driving and you're like contemplating, you're like, they're taking the exit.
You're like,
I gotta go straight.
you're like,
I'm gonna take this exit.
yeah,
Like that's pretty bad,
yeah,
dude.
it is pretty bad. You know, yeah, it's crazy because I remember one time I said this to somebody, and this is not even my personality. I would never do this now. And I remember telling this guy, I was like, bro, I'm gonna follow you home. I'll beat you up in front of your kids. And like, bro, like the guy looked so scared. But the craziest thing is like I just rolled the dice with that one because I couldn't even fight at the time. You know what I mean? I was like,
You're
man, like I
lucky.
was just so angry. And I was like, it could have been one of Mark's homies from workshop doing jujitsu and just choked me the hell out. You know what I mean?
It
But
could have
From
been
in
just
front of
some
your
you're
just
right.
some just some dude that had a gun who was like,
Well, yeah.
nah, screw
Yeah,
that.
no,
Just,
you're oh, you want to threaten my family,
right.
but
And he
that's
just pulled out his gun. I
your
mean,
mind doesn't really it just reacts sometimes I think when you're on trend and it's
yeah, dude.
not everybody's like that. I mean, but like if you're already a little edgy, it's not going to make you more chill. You know what I mean? So I
That's
think
crazy.
yeah, I think like if I ever did do a cycle again, competed, like I would probably like try and do it without trend as much as possible or maybe the
Yeah.
last like month a tiny bit, but not the whole way through. No ways. Yeah.
I mean, because Trent can sometimes do a reverse effect for some guys if they don't understand. They can start retaining water from it, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like if you're not taking anything for the sides, if
Yeah.
you're not taking any caber or anything like that, I mean, a lot of guys
And
don't know, and you start
yeah,
to like, you can start looking softer from
yeah.
it, like oddly enough,
For sure.
like yeah,
I can see that. But
gives you that little film, you know.
yeah.
It's weird.
I mean,
Like
Chris
you're
Bumstead,
still lean, you're still hard, but you have that film, dude.
and then people don't realize it's like their kidneys failing. It's like, it's like they're retaining
Yeah,
all this
right.
water.
Well, it's, yeah, yeah. I don't realize like the
Why
kidneys.
are my ankles so
Yeah, your
swollen?
freaking
Your
kidneys are
kidneys are
struggling
taxed,
right
bro,
now.
and you need to chill.
We talked about it a few episodes ago before about trend making you gay. There's been evidence, or not evidence. Yeah, there has been people talking about
The
that. It
frogs are
makes
gay.
yeah, it
It's making
trend
the
makes
frogs
you
gay.
trend makes you think some type of way, like your hormones are so imbalanced. You have a lot of estrogen on top of the testosterone,
So you start thinking differently.
and then you start looking at other men's bodies, and then next you know you're like, "Fuck, am I gay?" But
Can you,
he's got a nice body.
and imagine this
Am I gay?
scenario. So imagine a
Wow.
guy that's in that position, right? But he also does cocaine. So now you're
Wow.
sniffing cocaine and you're already in that position Mel's talking about. and it's 4 a.m. and the bar is closing, and there's only a gay guy with cocaine left, and he's like, "Come to my apartment."
Come to daddy.
Or Adderall. That would be just the same.
You're going. You're like, yeah.
yeah, you'd be like,
He's got a
man,
bottle of Tren, and
he's got a bottle of.
he's like, bro, we're gonna
Cialis
party.
bottle.
I know. He's got the lineup,
He's
right?
got a Cialis, trend,
Man.
yeah, and
So,
cocaine.
and he's
Like,
sitting there
oh
like
my
this,
God.
man. Come on, man.
Yeah,
We're gonna have a good night.
yeah. That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Doesn't have any condoms. That's a
Yes.
problem.
I know,
What
right?
are you gonna do?
You wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God. You're, man, that'd be terrible.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. See, luckily, I've never had that effect from Tren. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, but
Yeah, I've
yeah,
never.
I
No,
don't
I've
know
never.
anybody who has, but I'm sure there has been, you
No, I
know.
think Trent, when
Yeah.
I did it, it was like, I think initially, like the first couple weeks, I want to say, like it felt like my sex drive went up,
Me too. Yeah.
and then
Then it
and
went
then
down.
it was like, yeah, maybe it was down, or yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
you're right, like it almost went the opposite way.
Yeah.
But for a few weeks, it was like, whoa, it was really high, and then
Yeah.
it just kind of like dropped, and it
I
was like,
mean,
oh,
anytime I was on gear, I was always like a little more, had a bigger sex drive for
Yeah.
sure. But when I noticed when I was on trend, the first couple cycles, that effect,
yeah,
super horny, like, oh my God, I can't keep my hands off my girlfriend. But then it's like a couple times after and the rest of the cycles I did for the other shows, like I
Yeah.
didn't get that effect anymore.
right,
And then I was thinking in my mind, is the trend getting crappier or am I building up a tolerance to this, you know? Because I swear, when I used to buy trend, like I used to get those bottles and it looked burnt orange.
oh
You
no,
know what I
those
mean?
were the good ones.
Yeah, and it's like dark, rusty, like orange, and
That was the
you're
good
like, oh
stuff.
my God, I'm gonna put this in my body. But now
Yeah.
all the trend that I would get more recently, it was like kind of more yellow and watery. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And so I'm like, are they doing
The old
something
stuff was
different? You know,
was
like
dark.
yeah,
Yeah,
like my first coach, I'm not gonna mention names because I don't want to say who's getting stuff for me. But like, yeah, he would get me this stuff that was like burnt, rusty orange. You know what I mean? It looked like dark, and I was like, oh
yeah.
my God,
And it
like you know.
smelled. It was really strong chemical
Yes, and
smell. Yeah,
I literally would put it in me, and I would get an alcohol taste in my mouth in like
yeah.
10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
It would taste like rubbing
Well,
alcohol in my
that's when
mouth,
you
and I'd be like,
know.
when I would
Yeah,
breathe in, like, it's almost like I had like spearmint gum in my mouth. You know what I mean? It was like,
that's when you know it was
There you
good,
go.
man.
whoa, you know. And then I would tell
And
people about it, and they're like, "That's not good." And I'm like,
Yes,
no,
it
that
is.
is good. I know that is good. Now
yeah, I'm like,
that's
no, it
weird.
is. It's really good.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it got. I feel like some of the stuff did get weaker. Yeah,
Right?
some maybe some of it. Probably, yeah. It got watered down. Some brands or whatever, Underground Labs, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know too. Like it has to do with your test levels too, right? How much tests you're using too.
Yeah.
That is the big correlation with it.
Okay.
Like how high was your test? You know, like what were you injecting? Like a gram a week
Yeah.
of of tests, and then trend.
Yeah.
Or if your test is lower, say you're pushing like 500 milligrams a week, and then
Yeah.
you're pushing say 400 of trend,
Yeah.
you might get that real heavy, and then it crashes.
Yeah.
So usually you need to go up in your test, because they actually say you should be doubling usually.
Yeah.
I think like if you're doing 400 trend, you should be doing 800 tests.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
I've
They
always
should
done
be-
800 tests. Like that's
Yeah.
what I've done. Like
because it
every,
can mess with it can have
Yeah.
the effect
Yeah.
of messing with your sex drive.
because I've known people who like. I mean, I know people take testosterone and the injectables out closer to the show,
Yeah.
but I've always kept the test in, even when I'm taking the orals. I've never taken that
All
out
the way
because to me
through.
that's just my baseline. And like I don't know, like I've never had a coach who's coached me through that little
Mhm.
process of it. So for me, I just always felt better keeping the test in and then just
Yeah.
like taking all the other stuff out and then taking the orals, you know?
Yeah, a lot of guys do
Yeah,
take it out the last few weeks, but then
Mine was only like
some guys
a week.
some guys will stay on it. They'll
Yeah.
just lower the dose,
Yeah.
or they'll run probe. They'll run test probe, and they'll do like say 300 a week of
Yeah.
that, while they're running all their DHTs to get that hardness, that dryness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
However, if you are taking diuretics, why
Yeah.
would you take out your testosterone?
right, you don't have to
That's-
necessarily.
And you
If
need
you're
you need the
taking
estrogen to
diuretics.
load anyway because your
Yeah.
insulin sensitivity goes to shit, right? If you crash it,
Mm-hmm.
so
But a lot of guys do.
It's a
Take
fine
it
line,
out.
but then like you're
Yeah.
you're not smarter than your body.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
No
not
ways.
smarter than your body.
Can't
and
outsmart your
all
body.
your body just wants homeostasis. So why would you want to? Why would I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
right? And then your mood is all weird, and then it's like on top of that, you're all stressed out. You know what I mean? You're at work and you're all like feeling like crappy, and yeah, just that would just be terrible to take.
Cortisol's going
And to
Yeah.
high
get dry, why would you crash your estrogen? Like, why would that? I don't understand why a lot of
to
people,
crash it.
yeah,
Mm.
to get dry. You don't need to
To
go
dry
to these
out. Yeah.
extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, man, if you're
You want to
dieting,
manage it for sure, but
yeah, if you're dieting, you were taking the trend, like, wow, well, yeah. I mean, just
man,
there's a people don't do too many things that are really different in bodybuilding. Like everybody likes to make like, oh, I got the secret, but it's like
It's not.
when you look at all the coaches that are, at the top, they're doing very similar things with all of their clients. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and all, so it's like, I don't know.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Like as
Yeah,
far as you, when you're leading up to your show, from I would say about 8 weeks out, you're already looking like granite, and it was just a matter of like shutting down, a little bit of the layers of fat, a
yeah,
little
for
bit
sure.
here and there,
Little diuretic,
like a little it here and there, but it's not like you had to go to these super extremes to get
Yeah, no.
into the show at all. So like, leaving in test, it wasn't gonna show that film under your skin. I mean,
Yeah, no
you were
ways.
ready from like 8 weeks out, like
Yeah,
fucking
for sure.
granite.
Yeah, to me, it's like better to be ready early
Yep,
and then kind of like be more chill, like into the show
yep.
rather than like you're scrambling. You're like, no, I'm gonna time it perfectly.
No,
I'm gonna get the timing down perfectly this time. Just get ready early. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I understand you want to get the timing down early, but you might look like Jeremy Buendia did last year on stage.
yeah,
He didn't get the timing down right, and he's a professional that's been
yeah,
doing it. He was Mr. Olympia 4 times. So to me, it's like, I don't know, always better to get ready a little early, not too early, but just, yeah, I don't know. That's always been my thought process.
yep. It's just better. It's a lot easier to fill up than it is to dry out
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. And then like when you're already super lean and like your metabolism's firing, you're like eating your food and you're literally sweating.
Oh yeah.
Like and then like your coach is looking at you like, oh man, high carb day tomorrow, and you eat those carbs. Oh my
You
God, you
lose
feel
weight.
yeah, and you lose weight like three
Oh
pounds
God, yeah.
overnight. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like those are the times where like that feels amazing. I miss that feeling about bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Like because you'd go to the gym, you get a sick pump, you look crazy. But yeah, if you're gonna live the lifestyle, take care of yourself.
That's good stuff,
Yeah.
man. Miss those days sometimes.
Yeah.
So funny, like we're talking about our days and bodybuilding and stuff like that. Not to say that it's just been a few short years ago before, but I had a few conversations um today where I told somebody, I'm like, hey, you're looking great, because he was posing in the mirror and stuff
Mm.
like that. First timer as well too. So I introduced myself. I was trying to even like breadcrumb myself, and like first of all, like I'm nobody. I ain't shit. And I can tell like I'm totally irrelevant, because when I tried to tell him like, hey, I'm telling you from perspective. Are you gonna, like, I asked, you look great. You're gonna, what show you're gonna be doing? He's like, oh, next week I'm gonna be doing the Ikaika or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, fantastic. If I could tell you, like, just continue your posing. I'm telling you from a judge's perspective. And he was just like, oh, yeah, but this. And he started to make like excuses about this as being his first show. He
Okay.
stopped following people because he was getting confused in regards to too much information. So he didn't know which one to follow. And I'm telling him, hey, check out this one person and just get, because it's free cues, it's free tips about posing. And posing is important, especially for the criteria of men's classic, which he's going to be competing in. Good luck to you if you're watching this. But
Mm.
so I tried to tell him like, hey, I'm a judge. I see what I'm looking at, and from perspectively, I just want to say you look great. Great job on being your first show, and you dieting, self dieted, self
Yeah.
trained, self everything.
Nice.
So I gave him all of his flowers and everything, and I told him, I was like, I know how it feels, and I know it's hard. I'm I mean, I had coaches before, but I coached myself into my pro cards. And he was just like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, hey, if you even need information, there are people who are doing it on Chat GPT that, like, if
Yeah.
you, and I told him it's pretty close to what we do, what
Yeah.
we've been doing. And he was grateful, kind of brushed me off a little bit. I was like,
Okay.
God damn, I'm
Yeah.
irrelevant.
How
I
old was
ain't
this kid?
shit
How
in
old?
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how
No,
old was
no.
he?
He was older. He's got to be in his mid 30s or something. But I was just like, man, I'm washed up. I
He's
ain't
got the
shit.
internet, man.
I'm
No.
irrelevant.
Right.
He's got the internet.
So fuck what I say.
Yeah. That's the
Exactly.
thing. The thing about the
He's
internet,
got
though,
the
with those kind
internet
of
in his hand.
situations, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
so terrible because there's such an oversaturation of shit that it's like you have to sort through all the bullshit
Hmm.
to get to the helpful shit. You know what I mean? And when you're new, you don't know what the helpful shit and the bullshit is. So a lot of times you waste so much time following some bullshit when you should have just got a coach and they could have put you on the fast track to getting fucking where you need to be. And yeah, I just feel like that's definitely something that people need to realize. It also is like the sport, like it's I don't want to say politics, but if a judge comes up to you and tries to give you advice and like she's taking some time to tell you you look good and that you know you should maybe try and do this, you should listen because she's going to be judging you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like you need to like rub elbows with the right people in this sport too, you know, because they're going to remember if you're an asshole on stage, and they're going to also remember if wow, this guy he gets better and he has a good attitude and he's always like smiling and he's he shakes our hand, he respects what we say. Judges, I feel like, also judge you on your own personal progression. They might not make you win the show because you progressed the best because maybe you didn't look the best, you know, but they
Mhm.
will, you know, like take notice if you do show after show after show. Dude, I saw the same judges sitting behind the
We
desk.
remember.
Yeah, how
We
many
remember.
times? You know what I mean? That's why when Kenny,
Yeah.
sorry, Kenny, you know, that show at the Shell
Yep.
where he like kind of did this crazy thing on stage and like was like getting all angry, like yeah,
Yeah.
backstage, whatever, you know what I mean? But when you're on stage, like judges remember that stuff, you know what I mean? And they're gonna look at you differently forever. So it's like, you know, when somebody comes up to you in the gyms, like I'm a judge, they're complimenting you, humble yourself and listen. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. It's like,
Yeah, I gave him his
yeah,
flowers. I told him, "Hey, you
yeah,
look fantastic for what you're doing. I hadn't seen you here before. Great job." And I gave him all the compliments and everything. And I just queued him up on some like posing because it was it it was very close to like the mandatories and very close to the symmetry rounds. But there are things where I can see him like, fuck, he would
Is
look
he
so much more better if he did it like
is he
this.
doing bodybuilding?
He's doing men's classic.
Classic.
And I'm like, "Oh, it would be so much more like polished if you did it like this. Here's some information. I'm telling you." So it just made me feel like, damn,
And you know, but you got to
I'm
think though,
irrelevant.
sometimes,
no,
well,
no ways, no
but
ways.
sometimes some people, they don't know how to take
He's just out of the circle.
advice. Well, some people don't. Some
Yeah.
people don't know how to
No,
take
that's
advice.
true. That
They
is
don't
definitely
know how
true.
to take compliments, and they're not good at taking the comments, and they don't know how to receive advice.
Yeah.
So it comes off as being like they don't want it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of because I've had this happen to me before. I talked to somebody and they acted like they didn't care. I said whatever.
Yeah.
I seen the guy literally 6 months later, and then he's like, "Hey, Margo, yeah, man, thanks for telling me that. You know, this and this. I did this," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you remember when we talked 6 months ago? I was doing that. Oh man, it's been helpful." And I was like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
like had no idea because
Yeah.
I thought he wouldn't
Planting
care.
the seeds important,
Yeah,
huh?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just planted
Yeah.
seeds, and then I just was like, "Okay, cool," because he acted like he didn't care, but then he listened. You
Yeah, the
know,
seed was planted and he
it was
watered
planted,
it.
and he did it, and then he
Yeah.
even came up to me and told me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, that's cool." So
Yeah.
sometimes, maybe after the show, he might
I
see
don't
you.
know.
You know.
So, but the conversation that I was having with this other individual today was just like, as far as like old school training, you came from old school training, in regards to like how everything is science based now. I mean, a little bit of both in between. Milos Arsev, he's just like, just lift the fucking weights, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But he has a point with his theory and lifting weights, but he's somewhere like kind of in between the old school and the new school. So I appreciate Milos, but like, the old school ground and pound, just lift the fucking heavy weights. I mean,
yeah,
how far did we were just talking about that with the Ronnie Coleman thing, like as far as body preservation, was it
Yeah.
worth it in the end? I don't know. We would never know.
Yeah. And you
yeah.
know, like honestly, like Ronnie Coleman was amazing, but I bet if he stretched a little, his posing might be better. Not that it was bad, but I bet he'd probably hit his poses a little more comfortably, maybe be able to hold him a little longer, maybe get his I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of bodybuilders, this is coming from somebody who used to bodybuild and now I'm training differently and working more on mobility and still, I'll do a chest day, I'll do a back day, you know what I mean? But I mix a lot of other things in there. People don't realize that like you need to keep your joints mobile. You need to stay flexible if you want to hit your poses properly because some people look so tight when they're posing and transitioning. Like when you're transitioning through things in classic and you look all stiff and crazy, like it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? So there
Yeah.
needs to be some softness with the
Fluidity.
hardness. You know what I mean? Because bodybuilding in the gym is raw beast mode. But when you're on stage, unless you're doing open and you're hitting most musculars the whole time and like raw to some Metallica, Like there needs to be a little bit of artistry and softness to it. You know what I mean?
Well, you had guys that were
Yeah.
like that too, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
had like Sean Ray. I mean,
Sean Ray was really good
he
at
was
posing.
good, and
Kevin Lebrone
he
was a
wasn't the
great
He would
biggest,
poser.
do
but
the
he was
spin
good.
thing
Kevin,
and then
even
like,
Kevin looked pretty
Yeah.
good. I mean,
yeah, for
Kevin is a
sure.
good. Even Flex
Yeah.
Wheeler posed pretty good too. I mean, there was some of
Flex.
the bigger guys who could pose pretty good,
Yeah.
you know,
And what did you
and
know about
move.
Flex Wheeler though? What could he do? What would he all
Splits.
Yeah.
splits?
What he
He could
used
do
to do, he
Flexible.
was karate
He was
growing up,
mobile.
you
You know what I
know.
mean?
Yeah.
He did
So
karate for years growing up, so
yeah,
he had that ability already. Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, it helps, but you're not gonna, unfortunately, bodybuilders, real top level, pro level guys, the top 10 guys. I mean, they probably do some stretches, you know, here
yeah,
and there, but it's probably such a small element, right?
yeah, for sure.
That's not part of
Yeah.
the whole game. They do a little bit,
Because
you know.
when they're hitting their side tricep and they can barely do it.
Yeah.
They're
Well, you
holding
got to be
onto
able to do the
they're holding onto
pose.
their fingernail,
Yeah.
and it's like they're like shaking, but they can't even.
You got to
contract
be
their
able to hit
abs,
the
and they're like,
pose.
you know, it's like, dude,
I mean,
just get some stretching in, man.
I
You
mean,
know?
to me though, I always really respected Dorian Yates. Like, and even to this day, like, I always like he was very extreme, but he was to me one of the most basic guys that you could see as a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
He kept it so simple.
yeah, very simple.
Everything was very simple. How he trained, there wasn't glamour. You know, he trained with this his gym had whatever was there. He didn't
Yeah,
have all the craziest newest machines there. And I mean, and the guy had at the time, I mean, even to this day, probably one of the best physiques. I mean,
Hmm.
crazy, yeah, grainy, maybe not the most prettiest physique, but
yeah.
just
I never.
amazing physique.
But
I
that was
mean,
the era when Mass Monsters was coming out, and
no,
every
it
year he
was,
came out bigger and bigger and
it
bigger.
was.
Yeah.
I just didn't like his haircut, man. I was like,
Oh well, he had the mullet going on.
The
yeah,
blonde mullet
Dude, it
was
was
so
like
yeah,
cool.
91, bro.
yeah,
92. Come on, man.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
this is
okay. He
like
gets a little
right
break. He gets
after.
a little
This is
break.
right out of the 80s,
Sean Ray
dude.
had a flat top
Yeah.
fade.
You
Like,
look up was
Flat
the
top fades,
90
flat top fades.
was the 96 German Grand Prix. Dorian
yeah,
Yates, there's a video of it on YouTube. Like,
Oh,
good God Almighty. When you see how
yeah.
shredded he is in that
That
video.
was
yeah.
his last year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he
It was
looked
crazy.
ridiculous.
Do you remember him on the Joe Rogan podcast though, when they pulled up those black and white pictures of him
Yeah,
from
he
the?
was
Yep.
saying he don't
Yeah,
even
those are
recognize
famous.
himself.
He was
Yeah.
looking at himself. Joe Rogan was like, "What do you think about that picture right there?" He's like, "I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking?" Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's his mentality now. You know,
But
because
that's a different mindset,
yeah,
right? When
totally
he was
different.
doing
And they
Yeah,
were in magazines for
yeah,
years. I mean, at
yeah,
least
for
one
sure.
article, two issues a year that have those photos in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
in
know
some
what's
ad or something.
funny? What's his name? The guy that just won the Stingray, the men's physique, black dude, moved to the mainland.
I can't remember
Oh
his name.
yeah.
Whose client was he? Tina's posing client.
No, yeah.
No, what's his name?
He just won the
Yeah.
Stingray.
No,
You know who I'm talking
I feel
about, though,
bad.
right?
Wait,
I
I
know.
know.
Sorry if you see this, because we all
Wait,
know
why
you.
can I even think now?
I know.
I'm friends with him too.
I know,
Oh
me
my
too.
God. Well, anyway, wait.
Yeah,
It's such a D, right?
yeah. But that guy, like,
Darrell.
No,
No, that's not
Darrell.
Durrell.
Oh my God. This is bad. Please edit this out.
I know, right? I even forgot what I was talking about. I just lost my train of thought when we were doing that.
Men's physique, Tina's client.
Men's physique,
Yeah.
Tina's client. Shoot, I'm
The overall winner.
Dude,
overall winner. It must not have
Oh.
been that important, but
that's
Yeah,
bad.
but
I'm
you are
sorry.
important.
We can't. Yeah, we can't. Wow, this is bad, dude.
Yeah.
Can't
Like,
remember your name, but you are important.
I
Yeah,
know.
right?
Oh, shit.
Why did you do that? No, I'm a
Oh,
low carbs. Don't
awkward.
mind me today. I'm a
I
low
know,
carbs,
right?
guys. Like I do.
Is it bad that like I won't remember a person's name, but the first time I meet their dog, I'll remember their dog's name every fucking time.
I feel like
Really?
we have a
Yeah, like first time Rex came in, that's Rex. I still
Actually, you know what?
like, what's his owner's name?
I think
Yeah.
yeah. Like I remember. You're right.
I can almost name probably every dog that's been in here since I've been in here.
Interesting.
Chip.
Chip.
Chip has a name badge.
Tone.
But I
no.
think the names are different. That's why.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like you don't a lot of guys. There's no. I don't know any. But wow, do I know a Rex?
Yeah,
I might know a
Rex.
Rex. I don't know a Chip.
Oh,
I don't know a guy named Chip.
I know a guy named
There's
Chip.
a famous guy named Chip.
Yeah.
Chip Foose or whatever, but I don't know.
Interesting.
It's weird, yeah. The names are different, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
I can remember your dog's name forever.
Oh my god. Did you remember?
I'm trying to think. I'm
trying
like,
to remember
man,
his
I'm
name.
trying
I'm
to
like D. It starts with a D, bro.
yeah, it does.
Damn it, Jed, look it up.
I don't even know.
Look on
What's his
Stingray.
Instagram name?
On Stingray, he
You
won
got
men's
me,
classic.
you got me.
I mean,
You're
men's
killing me,
physique,
man.
right?
You're killing me.
I think it has love in his Instagram name. Love something.
You're killing me.
Love Jones or something. I don't know.
Love Jones.
Love,
Love Jones.
right.
Gosh almighty.
Do I even
King
gotta
Fit
say?
Love Jones. Just Damien.
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 Yep.
Damian Jones.
Damian Jones.
Sorry, Damien.
Damian
Bro,
Jones. Shout out to Damian
bro. You
Jones.
dropped the
Sorry.
ball on
John's
that one.
fault.
Congratulations. We didn't know your name, but now we do, and we're never gonna forget it.
Well, we knew it.
We
We knew
might.
your name. Yeah. It's just we haven't seen you in a while, bro.
When you leave the island, it's kind of like, not to say that, the hard drive just kind of like
Yeah.
cleans the cache,
Yeah.
but it's
For
kind of,
sure.
because we got new ones coming in, man. We got to make room.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a whole
Gotta make
new
room in this hard
yeah,
drive.
at the gym. I mean, after the after work crew has definitely changed. I feel like when I came the other day after work, I like, man, there used to be like all these people I knew, and now there's like the majority I didn't know. So it's like it just goes to show that there's always people coming up, you know what I mean, trying to bodybuild. So if you getting too comfortable out there, you know what I'm saying? There's somebody coming for you. So
There's those. Are they coming for them? Or are they just coming because they want to compete? I don't know. You know,
yeah,
who's
but
doing what?
for sure.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this actually, just real quick, but because I was like thinking about like motivation, right? Or just in general for yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then the things that I do personally, like I like to lift weights still. I do my jujitsu still, but like nobody cares if I did it.
Yeah,
Like it's not like if I don't go to class, I'm sure some people are like, oh,
where's Mark?
I haven't seen Mark, but
Yeah,
they wouldn't be like calling me like, hey, what
yeah,
are you doing? Are you gonna come
yeah,
by? I haven't seen him.
yeah,
They would just be like, oh, Mark's just probably doing his thing, right? If I
yeah,
don't lift weights, I don't think anybody in the gym's gonna be like, Mark's not lifting weights anymore. Like nobody
yeah.
would.
No,
They may say like, do you lift? And I say no, and they'd be like, oh, okay,
yeah.
and they
That's why
leave it
it's
at
like
that.
you see these people at the gym, and like you see them for like 2 years, and like, hey, what's up, bro? What you working today?
Yeah,
And then somebody's like, oh, what's that guy's name? You're like, I don't know. You've been seeing him for 2 years though, saying hi,
right,
But that's just like the gym culture. I feel,
yeah.
like a lot of people know faces. They say what's up. You go to the gym the same time every day, and you're so used to seeing these people, but you have like no clue what they do for work. You just say hi, you just ask them what they're working, and then that's
And I and I it
you
goes,
know what I
but it
mean?
goes to the point of
Yeah,
that nobody like
yeah,
honestly nobody really cares.
yeah, and that's
Like
why I feel like the gym
if you
is
do it or not,
yeah.
they don't care.
But the gym is a good place, I feel, for people who like might be depressed or lonely because you do get that human interaction of the like
Hmm.
maybe that might have saved some guy's life who's gonna commit suicide. You know what I mean? You're just like, hey, bro, what you working today? Looking great, dog. And he might not have talked to anybody for 2 days. Maybe he works from home and he's sad. So I don't know. I feel like yeah, get in
Be
the gym.
kind.
Yes, be nice, be kind.
Be
Yeah,
kind.
and do things because maybe sometimes I feel like I do stuff sometimes, and a lot honestly, sometimes I don't even feel like even doing it anymore. But then I just keep doing it
Yeah.
because I'm like, well, what else am I gonna do? I'm like, I got to do something.
Yeah,
So then I
right.
keep doing it, and then years later, I go, oh, I'm glad I kept doing that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You
Yeah,
Definitely.
know,
no, because like, so we've been doing this. It's become part of our lifestyle to exercise and stuff like that. But coming from like formerly competing, where our thing was to build a physique,
yeah,
right? To
Yeah.
have this image that we needed to compete with. But now, just to come to the gym to exercise, the
it's hard for you.
yeah, it's different. The motivation is different.
Mm.
The whatever and bottom line, like if you're not doing it for yourself, nobody really fucking cares.
Well,
Yeah,
that's right.
for sure.
Nobody cares. If you don't
Definitely.
go to the gym, nobody's calling you up after 2 weeks
Yeah.
going, hey, you coming to the gym? I mean, unless you had a workout partner,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not. Nobody's calling
So
you.
like when I was competing, I wanted to look good. I worked out to stay fit. Now I'm just working out so I don't get fat.
Yeah. Hey, and that's still a reason to work out though.
It's
You know what
my
I mean?
only reason,
It's your motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole if you don't use it, you lose it. I want to maintain and stay strong. We talked about bone density last week
Mm.
with Jeff and maintaining and stay strong, especially in our older years as we
Oh,
get
for
to
sure.
like the geriatric age. I don't want to be codependent on anybody. I
Right.
feel sorry for you if you, man, I'm sorry, whoever I'm gonna have to depend on when I do get old. But
Maybe
I
nobody.
better have enough money. Or I just better die fast.
Right.
Fuck
Oh,
it.
yeah. Or just have enough money so you don't have to worry about it.
You just gotta
Yeah.
drink. You gotta go to the island and drink the baby's blood.
Oh
Oh,
no.
God. Oh, geez. We're going there
But
now.
no, like, I don't want to. I want to maintain to be as independent as I can in my later years, in
Yeah.
my 80s. And if I get to live that long, I'd like to be maintained to stay independent. But as far as accountability, like,
Mm.
it's unfortunate how um, it was a goal. It was to stay accountable. I competed. and
Yeah.
now the mentality has to shift. And now that we're older, so sometimes people need that as well. We talked about social media, how to get validated, you post up, you get all these likes. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's what keeps you accountable in the gym, then that's fantastic too.
You know, it's funny you
Well,
say that. Oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say
No.
because there was this thing about goals, right?
Yeah.
Goal setting and goals,
Yeah.
and I mean that was one of the reasons why I was competing for so long, right? Because I had goals, right? I had goals.
Yeah.
I was trying to be at this level, trying to turn pro, whatever it was I was doing. And it's interesting. Do you need goals to do something like workout or jujitsu or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, do you need goals?
I think it's good to set
But can you
realistic.
do it? But can you just? I mean, I'm not saying like you're gonna have something in your head that you want to improve on or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that have to be a goal? It doesn't necessarily have to be a goal, right? You could just do something because you enjoy it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like somebody goes out and they run 3 miles every day, and they've
Yeah.
been doing that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Do they have a goal usually? Is it like, oh, I'm trying to improve my mile time, or usually they just go out there and they run, and maybe they do weird little things in their head, like, oh, today I think I'll do it at this time.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. No, I feel like goals though are definitely good. Like, cause you could be a white belt, say, for 2 years, right?
Mhm.
With no goals, you're just going in there like shit. I'm getting smashed on, getting tapped out every single day. I'll go a 5 minute round with somebody and they'll tap me out 6 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you could just be a white belt who was like, you know what, man, today I'm gonna just get good at all the warm ups. I want to get all the warm ups down so I can shrimp escape all the way down the mat and keep up with everybody and just do that. And once you attain that, you set another small goal like, okay, this guy tapped me out 6 times in this 5 minute
Hmm.
round. I'm only gonna get tapped out 4 times today.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let him do it to me again. And each time it gets less. And I feel like that's how you progress and get better. And getting back to what Mel said about like putting things online and getting validated, I remember it's funny you said that because when I first started bodybuilding and entering men's physique shows, to make myself accountable and so that I had to go through with it, 4 months out when I start my prep, before I even start my prep, I'm like doing the Sean Ray and I post it online and I post myself
Oh,
working out. So now all my followers are seeing this. And if I don't hold up to what I just said, I'm going to look like, you know what I
Like a
mean?
dumbass.
so
Like
you're
a
gonna
d-
look weak. You're gonna look weak. You're gonna look weak. Yeah.
Perfect, like a dumbass. Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
quitter.
Yeah, like a quitter, like a
Right.
dumbass, like a lame, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I feel like that's good sometimes. Social media can help you in that way where it's like, you put this out there for everybody to see and you haven't done it yet, but now, dude, you got to do it. You know what I mean? Or else
Mm,
you're going to look like a dumbass. So that's what I use social media for with bodybuilding when I first started, to kind of hold me accountable and make me go hard.
I see.
Because I was like, man, I don't want to like look stupid. I got to at least be in first call outs. Like, shoot, you know
Mm,
what I mean? Like, yeah.
You know that saying, and we should get him on the show, Biggie. Every day better. That should be
yeah.
Yes,
just a
that would be a
goal.
good guy to have on the show, man.
Yeah.
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 I mean, just a little bit more. Not biting off more than you can chew. When we were young and crazy and full of like, energy and resilience and yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna aim for that and we're gonna get there no matter what, sure. And we did. But then it becomes tiresome and exhausting. But just to become a little bit better every day, I mean that's a lot. If you're just,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
through something in life and all you can do is just make your bed and brush your teeth, then
Yeah.
chalk that up as a win. If you made it to the gym, chalk it up.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
true because I think I think bodybuilding and people who do bodybuilding in general, like a lot of us, we tend to lean on that external validation.
Hmm.
You know what
Yeah,
I
for
mean? I
sure.
think that's a
And
big
you
part
burn
of
out
that
quickly when
culture.
you get the
It's that
external.
external
Yeah, you
Yeah.
validation,
burn out
right? And
very
that's
quickly.
Yeah.
hard, right?
Yeah, for
Like you
sure.
do, like you said, it's hard to last
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't
It's
last,
not
right?
Yeah.
sustainable.
It isn't
And this
sustainable.
sport is a very perishable skill
Yes,
Yeah.
very
because we are
perishable.
against father time as well too.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And like you said, like you felt irrelevant, like
Yeah.
I'm irrelevant to this guy. Like
I am.
you're older now. Like he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, right.
I
And
ain't shit.
so,
Like in all
you know,
honesty, like I feel like your opinion is still very valid. You know what I mean? And like I think like everybody's opinion who's done more than like one show, who's done maybe like 10 shows, like you have experiences that you can like talk
mm,
about and like, you've been through things. So you know what it feels like. You've been in the trenches. But I feel like I don't even know where I was going with that.
that's
I, I,
twice
so-
today,
I
John.
smoked too much before I came in
Sean,
here.
just shaking his head over here, just like, dude. That's 2 times, bro. We're gonna get you. Well, Mel can get you on a
I need
good,
Alpha Brain.
on a
Yeah, that would
nootropic.
work.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Nootropic
Yeah.
supplementation
Dude, I
program
know, man.
to get you
Hey,
going.
I trained for an hour and a half today. Oh, what I was getting at too, like
Okay,
what I
we're
want to
back.
talk about
He's
though.
back.
I'm
Let's
back.
go.
But like
Fucking
just
John.
how Mel was talking about earlier, like training just so she doesn't get fat. Like right now, like I'm not stepping on a stage. So I've geared my training more towards jujitsu, and I do drywall for work. You know what I mean? Like it's a very
Man.
physically demanding job, and I'm 42 years old, and I'm doing this job, and because I stay in shape, because I try to eat healthy, because I take a multivitamin, turmeric, NAC, fish oils, all protein powder every day, and I'm eating the best that I possibly can. You know, I'm only human though. I'm running circles around people who are 25 that drink beer after work every day. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're
Mm,
25. And why is this 42-year-old running circles around you? And it's
mm,
because of working out. You know what I mean? So sometimes, like, I feel like even my job just keeps me motivated. You know what I mean? I have to keep up with this pace at work and I have to do this physically demanding job. And it's like, if you don't have something like that, you know, you need to create it and you need to like you realize that life is something to work out for because like bone density, like you guys are talking
mm.
about all that stuff, like it's gonna start creeping up on you real quick. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like once you hit 40, like dude, like I feel like I was just 25 yesterday. All of a sudden I'm 42. I have some health problems here and there, and then I'm trying to work on them. You know what I mean? And it's like train for life, man. You know what I mean? Just if you don't have no reason to train, train to just be a human living on planet Earth and to be productive. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
To
like
be productive, that's
yeah,
important as well too. I mean, is it fair that if you can't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of your loved ones? That's I think that's unfair. So I
totally.
try to maintain to stay in some sort of shape and health, even at my worst, back to back surgeries and stuff like that. I try to at least do as much as I can, go walking as far as I could, or do something every day. But I don't know. Like you were talking about us being in our 40s. I'm almost 50. I
Hmm.
am. To see some 30-year-olds just freaking sloppy.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even in my 30s when I partied, and for the people who do know me, I partied like a fucking rock star.
Wow.
I partied my ass off, but I maintained some sort of like, sound body and
Mm.
structure, even if my mind and everything else inside was going wonky.
Yeah,
I at least looked the part.
yeah, for sure.
I never looked
Yeah, that's it.
sloppy.
Hey man, like we made a reel this past week. You're never too old to start. So
Yeah, you're never too old to reinvent yourself, man.
get
So
in the
if you're
gym, do
not feeling
something.
something about your life, change it. And if you don't change it, that's your fault. You know what I mean? So
Yep. And you can start today.
yeah, like I started
Right now.
jujitsu at 42, and I'm a 42-year-old white belt getting choked out by a 22-year-old black belt. You know, so
Nice.
so it's like but like putting myself in those situations as you get older, like always keeping a student mentality. Like if you think you know everything, you're gonna plateau, and then you're never
Mhm.
gonna improve. But if you always keep a student mentality and think of yourself as a student of whatever it is you're doing, you're never gonna stop. You're never gonna stop improving, and you're just gonna keep elevating. So yeah,
Yeah, man.
Good
Always
subject as
learning.
well.
Always
Yeah,
learning. That's
maintaining to
it.
stay a student to every freaking game. Once you
yeah.
think you
Yeah.
know it all, like,
Well, it's humble, right?
yeah,
Like what about
It's always
like
being humble.
for
I
sure.
think
Like
that's important.
even with Mel, like, think about like how much you know about supplements
hmm
and, steroids and dieting and all this stuff. Imagine if you just stopped learning 15 years ago and you just still had that mentality now. I'm sure in the past 15 years, you've learned a couple things about new things and done things. And, you keep yourself molding to what's going on and the newest information. You know what I mean? The old stuff does work still too. There's that foundation, but you need to stay like, learning or else you're just going to
yeah.
plateau.
If not, I mean, I would have been left behind in the competition. I mean, like we were talking about with Jeff, the mainland, as far as what they know, the things that they're doing and incorporating,
Yeah.
Hawaii is way behind. And if I was still doing the same old from 15 years ago, like I'd definitely be irrelevant. And if I was giving you stacks from back 15, 20 years ago, then you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be left behind with me. So why would I do that?
Yep.
I I'd
Now
be
there's all these like peptides and all this stuff about. And like, so I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then I kind of just graze the surface in regards to some of the peptides, and like I don't talk about stacks and dosages here on this podcast just because. I mean, if you guys wanted to know, there's a lot of information on the internet you guys can go research on your own and learn about first.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to know about some stacks from Mel, leave a comment.
Get them stacks, baby. And remember, always include Trent in that stack, guys.
That's
Always
right.
Trent is
include
your
Trent in
friend.
that stack.
Triple down.
All
And,
right.
and Cialis.
Jed, you got anything for us, Jed? He's wearing his Jets hat today. He's not too happy. Well, he was a little bit.
We need to get Jed a
When he
hat.
puts the Jets hat on,
We
he
need to
gets
get Jed
gets
a
kind of
hat with
annoyed.
that like font, but then like instead of the T, we put a D.
That'd be pretty
Jet.
cool.
Jeds.
That'd be pretty cool.
So it's like the Jets font, you know.
So we do have the Ikaika coming up July 5th, and then the OCB shortly thereafter. I mean, good luck to you competitors.
OCB
Next weekend.
is natural show for all you natties out there.
Yeah, right.
Not pinning.
For all you creatine
You're not
takers.
pinning. You're not winning, guys. Come on.
If you're not
But
pinning.
hey,
I love that.
you're not
If not
pinning. You're
pinning,
not
you
winning.
ain't
But hey,
winning.
it's all good, man. Do it.
Yeah.
Do that show.
Yeah, right.
Get up there. Show them what's up.
What if you just, or they drug test you after too, right?
They drug test you before, so you have to do a before and after. So this one, I think they are as well doing a what you call it, lie detector test,
Yeah.
as well as a
Oh.
random urine analysis. And yeah, they're getting crazy now. I honestly think it's a money grab. To be honest
Yeah.
with you,
No, it is.
Yeah.
Totally. It is a money
I
grab.
think so. Yeah.
Because the IF, or what is it? Tyler Mannion guys, they're doing natural shows,
NBC.
right?
they are doing a natural shows,
NBC.
and
Yeah.
they're yeah, it's gonna be a beast of its own.
This is like cycles, man. I'm telling you. Like I remember they did this back in like the '90s. They were doing a big thing. NBC was trying to do a whole thing with it
Yeah.
back in the late '90s, and then it kind of faded. And then it's like I don't know, like every 10 years or something. I feel like it comes in cycles. They try
Yeah.
to like, hey, let's do natural again, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it has yet to really
I mean,
kick
natural
off.
bodybuilding, I really like respect it because they're natural, and I mean, they're probably way more sore. They're probably way more tired. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it's not as impressive to me to watch. Like when you see bodybuilders turn around and they don't have like striated glutes because we're used to seeing that, it just doesn't look the same to me. You know what I mean? And it's cool. They don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on that at all. They look great, but it's like, yeah, it's
Honestly, though, I'll tell you, as I did both, I trained harder when I was on gear, you know, to
oh,
be
me too,
honest.
for sure.
And I felt like crap. So I don't know. I mean, I think it was harder being on gear,
Well, on gear,
you
you do
know.
have the strength curve and you have better
This,
recovery.
yeah,
So
because
and
so
and
you,
then
Totally, yeah.
you're fighting demons in your head. So you're like,
yes,
fuck this, we're gonna lift the weights.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're like
and then you're
rest
and
day.
you're
Today's
spending
rest day.
money
What's
on it.
rest day? I
You're
don't need
spending
rest
money
day.
on gear, so you're like, "Hey, I gotta make this money worth. I just spent $500 for this stuff. Let me, get in there, like,
Yeah,
So there's other factors
I mean, as far
involved.
as the natural shows, I've seen a few natural shows where the guys and the gals too, they were very impressive, striated, but
Yeah,
they were not the full muscle belly striated. You can tell they were natural.
yeah,
yeah, it's different.
It's a
sure.
different
But
look.
it's good. It's all good, man. There's something for everybody. So, well, thanks for joining,
Thanks for
John.
joining us.
Yeah.
Next time we're gonna get you on. She's gonna get you on a stack for your memory,
I know for
for
my
your memory
memory, right?
loss.
I
Well,
know
we
my
all
my
had memory
cognitive
loss on Damon's
cognitive
name.
function.
Cognitive function. We all forgot Damon's name.
Yeah,
It's really bad. But anyway, thanks for coming, dude. Always fun. We'll probably have you on again. And
right on. Thanks for
right
having me.
on. Yeah. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.